Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Ultimate Fan Chat. Today, we're going to be talking about Stipe versus Daniel Cormier for the heavyweight strap. So we're going to have the current heavyweight champion versus the current light heavyweight champion. And today we have Mr. Handsome Dan Park in the bottom right, and we have Pretty Pete in the bottom left, and myself, Chris. I'm just Chris. I'm not pretty enough, unfortunately, or sexy enough, or handsome enough. Okay, so gents, how do you want to start this off? Who would like to
Go
start
on,
talking
Dan.
about?
Take it away, Dan.
All right. I want to break down their games to show you how I think each of them can win. So let's talk about the champion, the heavyweight champion, Stipe Miocic. I already say his name. If you look at his fight game, it's actually really simple. He's a wrestler who boxes. That's really it. So if you watch most of his fights, he has a very good jab and a very good two. 1-2. That's just how his game is. He either 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, or takedown and ground and pound like with Mark Hunt, where he might be outclassed in the striking exchange. He's really, really good because he has a beautiful follow-up right hand, and he can always feint to draw a counter. So, and this is very helpful to either set up the two or go for a takedown. So the guy's big. He has knockout power with his right hand. And he's actually, for a heavyweight, he's quite nimble. He can move around well. And this was showed against Ngannou, where Ngannou was just throwing with great hand speed, but Stipe was just moving and circling out of it. So that shows some good movement and footwork. And he's also shown that he's very resilient because he got a pretty nasty shot from Overeem, didn't he?
Almost finished.
100%. And he was almost finished, and Overeem was going for the guillotine, but he still has his wits on him, and he recovered and knocked out Overeem in the same round. So if you look at Stipe's game, what he does, and he does well, is he pressures. He pressures up with the 1-2 to get the guy against the cage, just as like with JDS, force them on the back foot. If you look at JDS and Stipe, when they were fighting in the open, JDS had good posture, bang, bang, landing counters, he's fine. Once he got him to the back foot against the cage, JDS was more like this, and he was trying to move out, and that's where Stipe caught him, bang, for the knockout. So he's very, very good in that sense. He's also very good running backwards, like against fighting with Werdum, where he just, bang, tagged him with a two. So I'm talking about his stand-up, which is going to be vital against Daniel Cormier. His secondary weapon is his wrestling, which is really, how can I say, not contemplated, which is complemented by his beautiful 1-2 striking. So he's very, very good in the sense that he can strike and he can wrestle. So his path to victory against Daniel Cormier is to just strike and keep it standing. But the question is, how does Cormier win? And you look at Cormier, and he's a lot shorter, and he's a wrestler by trade. He's not a very, very good striker, but his striking is enough to draw strikers into his game. And his game in the open, he's always moving forward, even like against John Jones or Alexander, even if he's getting tagged, he's always moving forward, coming in. And generally, his opponents react by moving backwards. So I don't really know how Stipe fights backwards, but it's going to be interesting because Stipe comes in, and DC to win also needs to come in. So it's going to be interesting.
I think like what you were saying, Dan, he's got a very solid 1-2, and I think that's what he's going to stop DC with. I think I think people are over sort of going a little bit too much in terms of DC's wrestling. I mean, and Stipe is an NCAA Division 1 wrestler as well. Now, he's not as credentialed as Daniel Cormier, obviously, but it's not a wrestling match, it's a fight. John Jones wasn't anywhere near credentialed as Stipe even is, and DC couldn't get him down, he got him down once near the end of the fight, I think, and John Jones took him down pretty much whenever he wanted, right? What I think will undo DC is he's got a habit of walking forward in his fights, and you see it in both the fights of John Jones, and you saw it in the Ozdemir fight as well. He walks forward and he keeps the hands out like that as he's closing the distance, right? A guy like Ozdemir hasn't been in that big show. He didn't have the cardio. He wasn't really sure how to deal with it. So he succumbed to it. A guy like John Jones has that experience. He was able to sort of deal with it, but he didn't have the punching power to sort of keep DC away or to keep him at bay. And Stipe does. Stipe's got the size. He's got the reach advantage. He's got the size of him just like John Jones did. But the thing he's got that John Jones doesn't have is the punching power. If DC does walk forward like that, like he's accustomed to doing, I think he's just going to walk into 1-2s all night until Stipe puts him to sleep.
Yeah,
that's my prediction. Yeah, I don't think if Stipe wants to, he can wrestle DC as well, but I don't think he will. I don't think he needs to. I think he puts the 1-2 on DC all night, and I think he stops him.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think Stipe is the favorite into this. He's a huge favorite. However, and I completely agree with you in terms of that. It's sad, but I agree. But if Cormier was to close the distance, that's where he really shines. That's his whole game plan. Because if allowed, he enters the clinch, and like what he did with Gus, like what he did with Ozdemir, with Alexander Gustafsson. Because if you look at it, Anthony Rumble Johnson arguably has greater power than Stipe. Maybe not the same reach.
Big question.
And Cormier has shown that he's very hard to put away. And when he does get rocked, he does generally come back.
I think the difference of that is the mentality and the fight IQ of Stipe Miocic. He's very smart and he's zoned in now. Rumble Johnson was beating those 2 fights with DC before the fights even started, especially the second one. I think he's at that level now. He's in that mentality. Stipe still feels like he's got something to prove. Even after this win streak was 6 wins in a row, 5 of them by knockout or something like that. He still feels like he's got something to prove. I don't think he's not going to be a guy that's going to be mentally defeated like they'll defeat it so easily. Aside from John Jones and maybe Gustafsson, most of those guys broke against Daniel Cormier, and I don't think Stipe Miocic is the type of guy that's going to break.
No, Stipe is definitely not going to break. Stipe is not going to break. But yeah. So you guys have pretty much touched over most of the points. Yeah, Stipe's is. Sorry, do you want to say something, Dan?
Yes, I do. I wanted to go back to what I was talking about. I completely agree with Peter. Stipe is not going to break. His fight IQ is completely different than Rumble's. He still has a chip on his shoulder because if you look at his record, who has he really fought? He's fought, aside from Ngannou, guys who are off their prime. Werdum, Hunt, Arlovsky. So yes, he does have that chip on his shoulder. He does have something to prove, in my view. And going back to DC, how does he win? If he gets inside and if he gets into the clinch, like what he did with Gus, Ozdemir, uppercuts from the middle. And he even caught John Jones with it. And he's really, really good enough. Cormier is powerful. He knocked out Silva with that uppercut. He knocked out with Patrick Cummins in his UFC debut. And he can cause serious damage. So in the striking, that's the only side that I see Cormier has an advantage in. Everything else, you're completely right. Stipe is just going to be landing at 1-2s.
So you think do you mean he'll have the advantage if he closes the distance, or he's just in general got the advantage striking?
No. All I'm saying is that's the only. I think you misunderstood me.
No, I get you.
Has the advantage overall, but the only place Cormier has an advantage is in that clinch, landing those uppercuts.
Yeah,
that's the only place in the striking realm.
The interesting thing about the whole strike, about how the closing the distance is the only place that Cormier really has the advantage in the fight. If you look at the majority of Stipe's fights, he normally wins his fights via the striking from close range. He doesn't because I was watching the Dan Hardy breakdown of the entire fight, and you look at all of Stipe's knockouts, he knocks guys out, but he doesn't knock them out from a distance. He doesn't throw punches, and his arms don't extend all the way out. He throws all his punches from very close in. He has those very short, accurate punches, which
and that goes back to sort of what I was saying, where John Jones was landing those shots as well, but John Jones doesn't have the knockout power with the hands like Stipe does. That's where I think DC is going to get himself into trouble.
yeah,
In those exchanges in the pocket. If he's like what Dan's saying, if he's got the one clinch and throwing the uppercuts and overhands, that's where DC can have a lot of success. But I think even in close, as long as Stipe can uncork a punch there, I think DC is in trouble. I just think he hits too hard. He hits too hard. He hits too clean, and he's not flashy, which will help Cormier. But he's just on point at the moment, man. He's just on fire at the moment, Stipe.
yeah.
Like you're saying, Dan, he's not too diverse, but what he does very well.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, he has a
So
very
let's take a look at.
game.
So let's take a look at.
So Stipe has a very meat and potatoes game. It's not a very flashy style. It's not a big, you don't look at him and go, oh, he's throwing all these spinning back fists, these big high kicks. He rarely even throws kicks, but he's just so good at what he does. At those short strikes, those and with the wrestling, if he decides that he wants to wrestle Cormier, which obviously it's not something that you would assume he's going to do. But if he decides to use his offensive wrestling, I don't think he has the offensive wrestling to really frustrate Cormier. But I do think that he has the defensive wrestling to
It's a
frustrate
fight,
Cormier.
though. I mean, if John Jones can take him down, I don't see why Stipe can't take him down. I'll tell you what, if Stipe does take him down, he puts him on his back, DC's in big trouble.
Yeah, I know.
Big trouble. There's Donkey Kong fist coming down.
DC's been put on his back a few times, but he's got that wrestling mentality of getting straight back up. He gets an underhook, he gets back to his knees, and then he eventually gets back up really quick. Even with John Jones, got up immediately. He got taken down, yes, but he got up straight away. There was no control whatsoever. It's hard to control him because he's only 5'11", very stocky. It's easy for him to get back to his knees. Not much of him.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
I don't see any offensive wrestling from Stipe's point of view, but yeah, the defensive wrestling I think he does because he carries that 245 or 240 pound frame a lot better than someone like Cormier does, or even potentially someone like John Jones does.
75% success rate defending takedowns as well.
Stipe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he hasn't really fought a great deal of wrestlers either. So he's been defending takedowns from Dos Santos and Overeem and Werdum, Orlovsky, Hunt. So he hasn't really been fighting anyone that does shoot for takedowns.
I don't think it makes it to championship rounds.
Yeah.
I think it does. I think
DC gets puts out within 3. Unfortunately, because I like DC, but I think he gets put out. I think it's the punching power. The punching power is going to be the decider. If DC can't move forward like that, like he does it, like when he fights Ozdemir, it's not. No.
Especially with the reach
too
advantage.
long and hits too hard.
Yeah, well, with the 8. What is it? 8.
I think it's
seven
7.5, maybe 8.
Yeah,
like
7.5 inch reach advantage of Stipe Miocic. You can't fight like that. You can't fight exactly what he's saying, putting the arms out. No, when he fought Ozdemir like that, I thought he was going to get knocked out because Ozdemir has pretty good knockout powers. I was freaking out a little bit because I'm like, well, why would you do that? There's no defense with your arms out like that. You're leaving your chin all the way back there with nothing covering them up. So
yeah,
it's a uphill battle for Daniel Cormier. I think a lot of people are giving him more of a chance than he really has.
Yes,
I think.
Because
we're all in agreement.
Yeah, we're definitely all in agreement here. Because the only people that he's out wrestled are guys like Anthony Johnson, who, as soon as you take him out of the first round, you can put a bit of wrestling on him. He does break. Like Josh Koscheck broke him with wrestling, and he's a welterweight. And Anderson Silva, who's never been known for his takedown defense. Ozdemir, who we haven't really seen enough of Ozdemir to know if that was going to be an issue in the first place. Yeah. And then Dan Henderson, who's like an aging middleweight.
Well, see, that's the thing. You break down DC's fights like that, and he was sort of breaking down Stipe's fights and saying, look, Arlovski's old, over him, should have finished him. The Santos was done already, and Ngannou can't wrestle. But you can do the same thing about DC's fights, And the thing is, you do it about DC's fights, he's getting the finishes and stuff, but Stipe's brutally knocking these guys out. Except for Ngannou, they've all been hurt. He's not eking out decisions. They're not even really close fights either.
Well, Stipe does get
quick.
Stipe has been touched up a bit in those fights. Like Fabrizio did catch him before. Then Fabrizio ended up getting caught. It was kind of he didn't catch him clean and really like make him wobble or anything like that. But he did catch him a bit, and obviously Reem caught him. We all saw that.
Yeah.
And Dos Santos with those leg kicks.
So he can get caught. He can get caught, but
he can get caught. He's just got that. He's just able to come back from adversity a lot more so than the guys that he's been fighting.
When he switches it into that next gear and goes for the kill, the opponent's in trouble, and I think that's what's going to happen with DC. Especially if Stipe finds his range early in the first round, we might not even make it to the third round.
Yeah, I also don't think it's the power that for Stipe that's going to win in this fight. I think it's more his accuracy. Because he doesn't seem to throw big, powerful shots. He just seems to throw shots that hit like straight on the chin. Every time he hits
he's a big dude.
Yeah. It does, and
he's got the amateur boxing experience as well.
Oh, yeah, he does too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he won a Golden Gloves tournament in Ohio, I think, in his home state.
Golden Gloves. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
So, to wrap it up, Miocic has far better offensive wrestling than Daniel Cormier has defensive wrestling. I completely agree with Peter. And, yeah, I can see Miocic by knockout, in all honesty. Yeah. And for the betting lines, you're looking at $2.70, Miocic by KO. And I think it should be lower.
I'll take that. That's good.
Take that. What is it for Stipe decision?
Stipe decision, I don't see happening.
Me either. Well, and even Daniel Cormier goes, there's only one way Stipe can win. It's by knockout. He goes, he's not going to beat me to decision.
I reckon he will.
See, I don't think if Stipe is winning the fight, if he's winning the fight, I don't see DC surviving 5 rounds. Because it's not...
Yes.
They compare it to the Ngannou fight. He couldn't finish Ngannou. But the whole fight, Ngannou has one-punch knockout power. DC doesn't have one-punch knockout power. And that thought's in the back of Miocic's mind the whole 5 rounds. Keep Ngannou down, tap, 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 hold him down, tap, tap, tap. That's going to be a different game plan with DC. DC doesn't have that freak, one-punch knockout power. So he can be more offensive if he gets DC down. He can be more offensive on the feet. And with that more offense, I don't think DC will survive those 5 rounds. If Stipe wins. If Stipe wins, I don't think DC would survive for the 5 rounds for Stipe to win by decision. I think he'd stop him.
I completely agree. And if I think it goes to a decision, I can totally see it's because Stipe got tired round 1 and 2 trying to finish, and then Daniel Cormier taking over around 3, 4, and 5.
I don't see Stipe tiring out in this fight. You saw Stipe tire out against Francis Ngannou. Yeah, but you saw him tire out against Francis Ngannou. Yeah, but that's because he's trying to control a guy like Francis Ngannou. And if you're trying to control a guy like Clay, you're going to get tired before, well, maybe Clay will get a bit tired, but the point I'm trying to make is you're trying to control a bigger guy. It's a lot harder. So you go back and watch.
Oh no, you got a shit point. You got a terrible point, mate. You got a terrible point.
Just let me finish my point. Junior Dos Santos, when he fought him for the first time, he went 5 rounds, and he did that. It wasn't difficult. It wasn't like you didn't look at him at the end of the fight and go, "Oh wow, he is super tired." And he fought at a really high pace that entire fight.
You got tired beating up Mark Hunt for 5 rounds.
Well, yeah, so would I if I was going bang, 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 bang for 5 rounds. Jesus, that is tiring. But no, the point I'm trying to make is Cormier is a smaller guy. If it turns into a wrestling fight and it does go for the 5 rounds, and Stipe does somehow win that clinch battle, simply because he's just a bigger guy, he carries that frame a lot better than someone like Cormier does. I don't see him tiring out, and I do see Cormier tiring out because he is trying to out wrestle a bigger guy who does have a background in wrestling, so he knows the ins and outs. He's going to be able to get out of all those tricky situations a little bit better than say the other
and
heavyweights he's fought.
you compare a guy like Stipe to previous heavyweight opponents of Cormier's, like Josh Barnett and Bigfoot Silva that he's thrown around. He's not those guys. He's an athlete.
Yeah.
Stipe Miocic is an athlete.
100%.
He's not gonna be flipped upside down over his head.
I really hope we see one of them. That would be cool. But yeah, I agree. I don't see him picking up someone like Cormier.
I just think the combination of the form that Stipe's in, his hands, and just the size and strength, and his background, his wrestling background as well. I think it's gonna be a difficult task for DC. I just think Stipe's got, I wouldn't say more keys to victory. I think he's just got a clearer path to victory than DC. That's my take.
Going back to what Chris and I were talking about. So your statement was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Stipe grappling Ngannou is more tiring, not for more time, is more tiring than him grappling with Cormier. Yes or no? Was that your statement?
Yeah.
I think so too, Dan.
Yeah.
I think so too. For one reason, right? My reason is this: it's not that DC is a better grappler. It's that it's physically Ngannou would be hard to hold down, obviously the size of him, but also be the mental strain on Stipe. Stipe's thinking, I have to keep him down because he's such a danger on the feet. He doesn't have those thoughts against DC. That's where I think the fatigue comes. It's not just a physical fatigue, it's a mental fatigue as well. Like, I have to keep him down. If he gets up, shit, he got up, That's very demoralizing for him. If DC gets up, all right, we'll trade a bit. I can trade with him. That's fine. Ngannou, he had the concern of the one-punch knockout power. Go.
Yes, I completely agree with you. Because if I'm Stipe, I'm not going to be grappling with DC. I'm going to break off. However, the statement was, if Stipe is grappling with Ngannou, he's going to get more tired over 30 minutes than if he was grappling with Cormier. We're not talking about he lets go of the clinch and keeps the fight standing. We're just talking about grappling.
So you mean like they had a jiu-jitsu match?
Yes.
When I say grappling,
that's not what he meant. That's not what he meant. But that's not what he meant.
I wasn't saying
that's what the statement was.
You've taken it too literally, Dan. You've taken it far too literally.
The statement was, Stipe is going to get more tired grappling Ngannou than he would DC. That's the statement.
In the context of a fight. In the context of the fight, yes, he would.
Stipe, I completely agree with you. I wouldn't even grapple with DC. Straight away, bang, get off, get my range back. The statement was grappling. That's the statement.
Okay, carry on from
context. You have to apply context to it. You have to apply the context is in a fight.
All right, but Dan, go on with whatever the point is you're trying to make. Carry on with it. Let's hear you out.
My point was completely wrong, and you should know better. You're completely wrong. I grappled 100 kilos. Peter, you weigh like 70. It's way more tiring fucking grappling with you. Way more fucking tiring.
Wait.
Against a novice.
Okay.
Apply it to the context of the fight, which is what we're talking about. We're talking about the fight.
I completely agree. In a fight setting, I completely agree. However, going back to what the statement was, and you're right, I'm taking it too literally, but that's what the statement, and I think that statement is false because what we're saying here is he clinches out. He's no longer grappling anymore.
Okay, that's assuming that you can stop the clinch of someone like Cormier just like that as easily as you say, just I don't want to do it, so we're not going to do it.
Yeah. You hide behind the one, you hide behind the two, you shove out. You can do it.
Because it's just that easy against an Olympic wrestler.
Anyways. Well, yeah. I just wanted to say you're wrong, mate. That's all I wanted to say, and I'm right. That's all.
Okay, but you need to explain it on it a little bit more than just you're wrong. You can't just say you're wrong because you're wrong.
Well, I did explain it because in a grappling setting, and we're going to say here, if he's grappling with DC for 30 minutes, he's going to be way more tired than if he's grappling with Ngannou for 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a bit of an example from like a practical example of say at the gym. I'm going to get more tired grappling with Lux for 3 minutes than I'm going to get from grappling with someone like Peter for 10 minutes.
Here's the thing, mate. We're talking about a white belt in wrestling, in jiu-jitsu against Lux. Can't compare. You can't compare Lux. What I'm comparing...
Guys, you've taken it way out of context. Let's just move forward.
Yes,
it's gone. Right. It's done.
You're right.
Carry on.
I want to continue on with this. This is fun.
End of the day, By knockout.
Predictions for the fight. I've got Stipe within 3 by TKO.
Okay. I've got I've got Stipe, but by decision.
I agree with Peter. I don't see Stipe winning a decision. It's going to be by knockout. If by decision, it's favored.
Sorry, say that again. You cut out.
If he gets to decision, more likely it'll be Cormier winning. But chances are Miocic will finish him the first 2.
Just the way Stipe fights and how aggressive he is when he's winning the fights, I don't see DC surviving 5 rounds. You know, Stipe wins fights with his wrestling and ground and pound, or with that 1-2 combination, just constantly. You know, I don't see DC taking those shots for 5 rounds. And if DC's on his back getting ground and pounded, I don't see him surviving for 5 rounds either. That's all. I don't think it's not saying Stipe would lose if he went to fight. I just don't see DC surviving 5 rounds of that kind of.
Yeah.
Being on a receiving end of that. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Well, obviously, I think Cormier will. I think he'll be able to survive 5 rounds. It's going to be tough for him, but I think he's going to survive. He's just not going to win. He's not going to be able to implement his wrestling as well as he has in the past. He's going to cop those hands for 5 rounds, pretty much. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Cool.
All right, that was fun. Thank you, Dan, for that little debate. That was it's always good. Guys, thank you all for listening. Peace out.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.